Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we're discussing the Necrons and the Silent King. Just where is he? Now, I don't really think we need a spoiler warning for today, but just keep in mind we will be talking about events from across the lore. And with that said, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Now, I wasn't originally planning to talk about the Silent King today. I was sat down writing my thoughts at the script for an if and what the Primarch's roles would be post Great Crusade, when I received a message talking about Demon Primarch returns and asking just what has happened to the Silent King. And well, that was it. Once you get my mind thinking, I can't think about anything else. So out the window went the Primarchs, for now at least, and talking the Silent King it is. So, just what has happened to the Silent King? His return at the start of this edition was monumental. A genuine universe-shaking event. A figure of legend returning to the playing field. However, since then, it feels like it's all gone rather quiet. That chaos has once more dominated the narrative focus. And with Angron soon to make his earth-shattering return, it doesn't feel like it'll be changing anytime soon. So what has happened? What is the Silent King doing? What is going on with the Infinite Empire? Well, for me, Szarekh had two priorities with his return. The first is to halt and reverse the flood of the Immaterium, and the second is to re-establish control of his own empire. So let's begin with the first, the Necrons' battle against the Immaterium. The seeds of this began to come to prominence back during the Psychic Awakening campaign, with the rise of the region of space known as the Pariah Nexus. A battleground that is still raging now, drawing in ever more forces of the Imperium. If you're fairly new to the lore and don't quite know what this is, how the Necrons are combating the flood of the warp, essentially they have the technology and knowledge to do it, through the mastery of the material known as Blackstone, precious for its warp nulling properties. Creating vast networks of Blackstone pylons across the galaxy, the Necrons are able to literally steal the Immaterium. And it was actually only one of their ancient networks that was holding back the Eye of Terror the entire time. Once Abaddon destroyed this, the Cicatrix Maledictum flooded out. For all the Imperium's defense of Cadia, you could say it was all thanks to the Necrons that chaos was in check. Now, the region of space the Imperium calls the Pariah Nexus is the Necrons' renewed attempts to essentially save the galaxy. The slight problem from the Imperium's point of view, however, is anyone caught within this new network essentially becomes a mindless slave, unable to think for themselves. But hey, Sarekh's not too concerned with that. Now, Szarekh, the last Silent King, is the Necron equivalent of the Emperor, the supreme ruler of the Infinite Empire. The term the Necrons refer to their own territory. Okay, he may not have the Emperor's psychic power, but make no mistake about it, he is not to be underestimated. This guy shackled gods. The Catan are shattered into weapons at his command. So do we really think his entire attention has been tied to one single battle zone for so long? There is just no way. And interestingly for me, I think the answers are there in plain sight, within the Necron Codex. As in the galactic map of the Awakening Empire, where it shows us the awakening Necron territories, the region of space we know as the Pariah Nexus is called the Contra-Impriac Nexus. And there are actually 5 such areas labelled across the galaxy, 2 of which are across the Great Rift, within the region of territory we know as the Imperium Nihilus, encircling the galaxy rather nicely. Far from being contained with just one important nexus, for me the Silent King is absolutely involved in all 5. And we also have the passage informing us on why this must be Szarekh. In response to the opening of the Great Rift, Anti-Chaos Protocols have released a long-imprisoned sect of cryptechs, known as the Techno-Mandrites. It was the command of the Silent King himself that saw these beings interred, for their sheer brilliance eclipsed that of all their rivals. And by forming a single united guild, they risked becoming a power block that could eclipse the Triarch themselves. Yet now Szarekh seeks to implement a plan so vast in scope, ambitious in scale, that he has chosen to treat with the Techno-Mandrites and attempt to win their favour. The sheer breadth of the campaign that Szarekh is running is yet to truly be understood, let alone revealed. This is the fate of the galaxy, and so the Silent King's plans aren't limited to just the Pariah Nexus. That was merely the start. He's not stuck fighting in one mere portion of the galaxy. This is his galaxy after all. And the so-called Imperium of Man is about to find out just how close to extinction their race is. Szarekh may have been what appears to us to be quiet, but that's because he's been playing chess, while the rest are playing checkers. The simple fact is we just haven't caught up to what he's doing yet. Guilliman and his Imperium are about to find out just how far Sarekh's plan may go. Now, the other priority could be the one that's surprisingly more of the headache: re-establishing control of the Necron Empire. As we know, when Szarekh ordered the Great Hibernation and departed for the void beyond the galaxy, as he would have us believe at least, he severed his command protocols, which bound his entire race beneath his command. While he may still have expected his race to still bend the knee before their returned king, the truth has been something quite different. In his absence, there are many pharaohs who have claimed power for themselves. And power is a taste that transcends races. It is a hard one to give up once tasted. I think we could find out that Sarekh's triumphant return has been far rockier than expected. That things may have seemed a little quiet on the Necron front, because aside from prosecuting the Nexus campaigns, the task of regaining complete control of his empire has become more militaristic than expected. For me, this would be the perfect reason for a little lull in Necron attention. Quite simply, they've been busy fighting each other. And again, the clues are there. Far from forming a triarch of the 3 most powerful pharaohs, Szarekh instead chose 2 relatively unknown ones, at least from an imperial perspective: Herpatra the Radiant and Mesophet the Shrouded Hand. And you would assume this was because they were the most loyal ones that he could find. If the Silent King had true control of his empire, then the Triarch would be formed of the most powerful pharaohs there is. In the Necron Codex, it's stated that those who oppose the Silent King's return are in the minority. However, if this was the case, you'd expect the Necrons to have been far more in the ascendancy across the galaxy. Yes, the Imperium is a tough enemy. Yes, Chaos is dominating the galaxy at large. However, there is simply no way around it. Szarekh has been ominously quiet. And we just happen to know that one such pharaoh of that opposition minority is Imhotep the Stormlord, self-appointed pharaoh of the Sortek dynasty. Still, at the moment, the largest dynasty out there. That is no small obstacle to overcome, and if you know anything about Imhotep's personality, you know he is not about sharing the spotlight. He's not going to be bending the knee, and he is not going to stand aside. One way or another, this situation has to come to a head, and you'd expect through force. Maybe it's this battle for control that could be the best explanation for Szarekh's seeming quiet. It would definitely be a fun storyline to dive into, to see how this is playing out and developing. The civil war amongst the Necron Empire. A returned Silent King fighting off those who oppose him. We've spoken about Imhotep's opposition before on the channel because I find it incredibly intriguing. But in really looking into reasons why the Silent King could have been away from the spotlight for so long, it does make sense that this would be one of the most logical reasons. And considering all of this, there's one factor that really makes his seeming quiet strange, and that is time. Quite simply, the Silent King has no time to waste. For Necrons, time usually means nothing. No longer biological, the passage of a decade or century makes little difference. However, the Silent King returned for one very specific reason: to prepare his people to fight the oncoming Tyranid threat. Every day, month, or year wasted fighting other threats, whether they be internal or external, the Tyranids are simply sliding ever quietly closer. With this countdown in mind, I think the more we see Sarekh's power regained, the more his patience may begin to wear thin. The more we may begin to see his actions emerge from the shadows. More and more Tomb Worlds are awakening at a new and faster rate. Sarekh's forces, despite Imhotep's opposition, you would assume are only going to grow. While things may have appeared quiet so far, with Chaos and the Imperium regaining the spotlight, I think that's something that will surely be coming to an end, and an end soon. Yes, Angron is about to take centre stage, and we know the rumours are out there that the Blood Angels may soon follow. However, considering the situation, Szarekh really has to take a more forceful approach, and he has to do so soon. The Nexus campaigns may have seen him quietly working beyond the Imperium's focus. The internal conflicts within the Infinite Empire may be something the Imperium cares little for. For me, they could be reasonable explanations why Szarekh has been beyond the spotlight. However, again, the countdown is on, and that time within the shadows may be about to come to an end. As always everyone, what do you think? Why do you feel the Silent King has been content to remain in the shadows so far? What do you feel is the most likely explanation? Like me, do you see the Nexus campaign as far more reaching than the Imperium realises? Or do you place more focus on his fight for control of his empire? Is it about time we saw more of what's transpiring within the Infinite Empire? Could we begin to see more Necron versus Chaos activity? Or is it the Imperium who remains the largest opposition? Or do you feel the Necrons have had their time to shine? Then it's time one of the other Xeno races came to the fore, such as the Orcs for example. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow, and if you enjoyed this particular vid then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.